Hey, Real Green Ninja here. Today we're talking about a very useful part of the software that we, especially at the end of the year, get a lot of calls about, prepay letters. So let's begin. Now, as far as prepay letters are concerned, there's two different kinds. There's regular prepay letters and there's marketing prepay letters. And I will explain the difference between them after we talk about the regular prepay letters. As well as a lot of people will use these as proposals. They just won't put any discount on there. They'll say, hey, this is what we'd like to do for you, and they'll just have whatever the normal price would be without any discount. So let's begin. So we're going to go to, go back here a little bit. We're going to go to print, letters, and then prepay letters. And once we go to prepay letters, these first two tabs are selecting who is getting the letter. Okay, so for example, under select customers, we can select what status the customer themselves are in. We can do it for a specific zip code or range of zip codes, specific customer number or range of customer numbers, or a specific invoice or range of invoice numbers. You can also sort the letter by different methods. As down here, you can select, well, if they've got a prepay letter the last 10 days, don't send them another one, because you might be doing multiple batches of prepay letters. And why send prepay letters to someone multiple times? Or at least, multiple times in a short period of time. Down here where it says do not send if prepay balance is greater than, this is also very useful, especially towards the end of the year when you're getting ready to send your prepay letters for next season. Well, you don't want to send someone a prepay letter if they've already prepaid you for next season. So obviously you would know the number better than I would that should be in there. But if someone's balance is less than $100, maybe they're just missing a service, or you guys haven't completed the services for the season. But if they have a prepay balance like $500 or $600, then they probably paid you for next season. You probably wouldn't send them a letter, or if you do decide to send them a letter, you'd send them as part of another batch. Down here, exclude bill to and exclude credit hold customers, because again, you might not want to send letters to those people. You can also set to send letters to people only with a certain flag code, or you can send it to people without a certain flag code. So again, another example of how those flag codes can become very powerful, because you might have customers that don't want you sending prepay letters because they know they're going to prepay or whatever. Alright, so again, this is selecting the customer's information. The select program or jobs, you're selecting what programs or jobs they have, in order to be sent a letter. So again, remember the first two tabs, you're selecting who is going to get the letter. Again, the program job status. So you could have an active customer, and let's say you decide to start doing pet waste removal, and you want to mark it out to the customers that have the dog flag code. You can say you want people with the dog flag code, and then over here you can say, I also want to make sure that people have that no status pet waste removal service on their screen. So again, the first two tabs, you're selecting who is going to get the letter. What billing type the jobs are, if they're full or partial. Again, remember, full and partial has to do with how many rounds are signed up for, and that set limit is set under here where it says minimum rounds for full program. They'd have to have at least 2 of them to get the full program in that one. They'd have to have at least 4 out of the 6 here to be considered a full program. So again, that's where that full program or partial program thing comes into play. You can also do it by the different dates that are set, again, on the program itself or the job itself. And of course, you set your date range and stuff like that. Now again, this isn't something that most people are going to use. This was actually put in there for people that do pest control, because the way they do, their set up their system and stuff like that. Over here, you're selecting which programs that they have to have in order to get a letter. All right, now it's set for any of them. They could have anything that's check marked here. But if you're only sending it for a very specific group, you can say, well, they have to have my lawn care and my chloration to get the letter. So again, keep in mind, most people just have it set for any, but you can say they have to have 2 certain things, because you might have different text for different types of letters. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, the include on letter is what they currently have that you want to show on the letter. So for example, over here you can say they can have anything here, but on this part we only want to show it if they have the lawn care program, or if they have the tree and shrub program. Again, these are the things. The include on letter is what the letter is going to have on it. All right. So obviously, if you select people with the no status pet waste removal, you'll also have to include the no status pet waste removal. Okay. This is where you're going to set your percentage. You can set it for everything. So I can go ahead and say, all right, everybody's getting a 5%. Hit update all. It puts 5% in there. I can actually have mix and match percentages. I can say, well, for my fertilizer, I've got a lot of junk programs and stuff in here. For my tree and shrub, they get 10% off, but for the lawn care, they only get 5% off. So again, you can mix and match if you want to. You can also tell it to include skipped rounds. Now, these would be the end rounds, the ones that are set for never due, and you can also push them down towards the bottom. You can also include a service as an incentive. So for example, maybe instead of giving 5% to your lawn care program or whatever. Let's say you're offering the first round for free, or first round's $1 type of thing. Then you can say, okay, round 1 is going to have whatever discount code you want to give them. Now again, you may have to create a discount code for that, but like I said, it's actually pretty cool. I had one client that called me up, and they had that was literally the situation. It was half off the first round, and then everything else was normal price. And so that they need to know how to do that. You can also tell it to use a renewal price, because maybe you've already, have some customers that have a different renewal price. Again, most people don't mess around with it. It's pretty much when you do your prepay letters, you'll want to do your renewals first, so they have something in 2016 to sell. Do your price increases, so they have the correct pricing, and then you do your prepay letters. Those are the kind of 3 main steps for the year-end process. But as I was saying, is for the most part, your renewal price should probably be whatever the price is for that particular service. Down here, show discount. You can either show it as a dollar amount or as a percentage. And what that means is in the upper right-hand corner of the letter, it's going to say save $150, or it's going to say save 6%, or again, whatever you put in there. I'm just going to put 5% in there right now. There we go. All right. Then, of course, you can also include discount codes if they have permanent discount codes or no discount codes. Again, these would be discount codes on the program service lines itself or the service itself. You can also do it for, if you want to, you can do it based upon schedule date if you use schedule date. Remember, most of the time with fertilization, you don't use schedule dates, but if you do, you can actually even filter by schedule date. Over here, you can tell it to include certain things, like, for example, you can tell it to include jobs that have already been completed, because you might, maybe mid-season, maybe need a little bit more revenue or something. You say, you know what, let me see if I can try to get my customers to prepay for the remaining services for the year. Then you probably wouldn't want to include the stuff that's already been taken care of. But like I said, you can check or uncheck, and again, you can always play around with it, because it does not hurt anything to preview. Whether or not the job's set to repeat next year. Also, what the billing type of the job is. Again, the first 2 you're selecting who is going to get the letter based upon their information. The third one is what they currently have that you want to show on the letter. All right. The next tab over, upsell neighbors. Now, with upsells, you have to do your service that you want to upsell has to be set up by price chart. If it's not set up by price chart, or it's not able to calculate a price for that particular upsell, it's not going to show it. All right. Now, if they have a completed service, you can even show the completed service as an upsell. Again, more than likely, you're doing your prepay letters for the next season, so they wouldn't have anything completed yet. In this example, 2016. Okay. Again, you put your percentage in. For example, you might say for our regular programs or services, they're going to save 5%. But if they sign up for something additional, they're going to save 10%. Now, normally you might not select everything. I am selecting everything because I just want something to show up on the letter. Now, you'll also notice down here you can show up to 4 upsells on this particular format we're using. And again, we'll talk about the formats a little bit later. But like I was saying, is it does have to be price table, and you can show up to 4. Now, you can also show neighbors. Okay, maybe this is a letter you're sending out, again, as a proposal to people that you don't currently service in that neighborhood or whatever. And then you can say, like, well, I want to find all the people, up to 12 of them, max 12, that are within a mile that have a certain program or a certain service. And then what you can do is on your letter, you can put a note in there saying, hey, look at your customers listed below and check out their lawn to see how good of a job we do. Now, again, obviously, you'd phrase it however you'd want to phrase it. Okay, or you can set it for none, and it won't show anything down there. Now, if you want to offer installment option on the prepay letter, you do have to have it set for none, because all 3 of these options share the same real estate on the paper itself. So again, if you want to show installment options, then again, you can set for none. Okay, now that we've gotten who we're going to send a letter to, what we're going to show in the letter, any upsells or neighbors that we want to show, now we're going to fine-tune the letter. And this is where you can go through and put in like banner lines and stuff like that. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see show company information. For example, the company's name, logo, website, and all that stuff. If you want to show the credit balance, remit balance, either credit or remit, or net balance, or no previous balance, you can select that out as well. Now, keep in mind, as far as like the net balances and stuff like this, the credit remit balance is the balance that's going to be in this box. The prepay balance is in this box. So again, even if they have $100 in prepay, that's accounting-wise, it is considered a credit against a person's account, but it doesn't show up down here. All right, so again, if it's talking about credit or remit, it's talking about this one. If it's talking about prepay, it's talking about this one. Now, the net balance is the sum of those two balances. So, for example, if they had $500 in prepay, a remit of $100, so you're holding on to $500 of theirs, they owe you $100 for something additional, their net balance is going to be $400. So if you pick net balance, it's going to show this number, okay? Or again, you can tell it to show no balance. Now, one of the steps of the year-end process, and again, a lot of the times people do prepay letters at the end of the year, one of the steps of the year-end process is to take outstanding prepay balances that are no longer needed and drop them down as credit remits. And then you turn around and show that credit remit balance as the previous balance on the letter, and then that way it adjusts the amount the customer should pay on the letter. All right. Now, you can tell it to show a prepay price, and what it's going to do, it's going to take each line item, it's going to show regular price and then prepay price. You can also strike through regular and highlight prepay, and again, when we look at the letter, I'll show you that. Form has pre-printed savings text. There are different types of forms that Real Green sells, and some of them have, as a valued customer, you save, or whatever the phrasing is. Again, it's been a little while since I've actually looked at it, because this is July 12th right now, and normally this stuff is done towards the end of the year. And as I was saying, this would mean pre-printed on the form. Eliminate prepaid text and checkbox, which means that if instead of saying like your prepayment of or whatever, it says your payment of. So like again, some people will use these as proposals, and I plan to do another video at some point in the future talk about how to use prepay letters as proposals. Print credit card panel, print your credit card panel. Letter is a signed contract, and it'll have a thing it'll say to start services, please sign, or to continue services, please sign. Again, if you required some sort of signature for renewals, okay. Up here, the greeting customer name, you can use the customer's name or an alternate. It might be, something like, in this case example, hover over there, the current customer, all right? Or you can say current customer of, such and such subdivision. Or you can use either or both of them. And it would say like, Tom Jones or current resident of, so and so, all right? So like I was saying, there's a lot of customized things, a lot of fine-tuning here. The bill me later message, it says bill me as services are performed, or you can even put your own custom message, or not even have a bill me later, meaning that they have to prepay in order to get in order to sign up this early. All right, and it goes most of the time you're going to have to give them options. It's going to say, "Oh, pay us now as all in one lump sum, or pay as you go." You can list the services as scheduled or proposed. Again, like I said, some people will use these as proposals. And you're also going to set your expiration date. Now, if you tell it to use number of days, what it's going to do is when we put the date in there. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause there for a moment to figure out what they use dates for, and unfortunately, I couldn't find any information on it. I even did a preview of the letter and stuff like that, and I didn't see anything. So, again, most of the time, people just use dates. So, again, you're going to put your expiration date. So, for example, if it's something where you're going to go through and say, all right, if you prepay by February 30th, February 28th, then you'll get the deal or whatever. Now I have seen some people, what they'll do is they'll actually send out a couple batches of prepay letters throughout the year or towards the end of the year. And maybe if they prepay you by November 1st, they'll get 15% off their next year. If they prepay by January 31st, they'll get 10%, and they prepay by March 1st, right before when you're going out there, they'll give you 5%. So again, I've seen some people do like tiers of discounts, and the sooner they pay, the bigger the discount. But like I said, you're going to put your expiration date in there. Now, if your expiration date is less than 2 weeks, what's going to happen is it's going to kick up an error message saying, hey, it's less than 2 weeks. Are you sure you want to have that date? And of course, you can hit yes or whatever. And of course, if you put the expiration date in the past, which means it's already been expired, it's going to kick a message saying, sorry, that date's in the past. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and grab some date sometime in the future, just something at random. I'm going to grab, let's see, August 23rd. Okay, there we go. So like I said, you're going to grab the schedule date, or the expiration date of the offer that you're giving them. Over here, for letter format, there's a couple different formats in there. Most people will either use the prepay letter form or prepay letter with upgrade offer. Again, I'll show you the difference between those two. And then also we could have different formats. Again, most of the time people will have as regular. Now what group by program means, if you have a program that has multiple lines in it, it's going to condense them down into one line. And again, I'll explain what the lines mean here in a little bit. You're also going to select your letter name. Now again, this is old data that I use for testing and stuff. I've never gone around to updating whatever. But again, you can have multiple different prepay letters in there. But you're going to pick which letter text that everyone's going to get. Now this letter text text here is set up under Data, Customer Parameters, Letter Setup. So if I go and take a look at that Prepay 2009, this is the text that everyone would be getting. Okay. Again, I can create new ones and then just make sure that it's signed up. It's available for prepay, pending or renewal, cancel, pending, rejected letters and stuff. But again, this is the text that everyone would get. Now, I usually recommend try to avoid putting hard dates and hard years in there, only because you don't want to forget to update the information for the next season, and you don't want to have on your letter say, "Hey, thanks for a great 2012 season. See you in 2013," when you're getting them ready to send them letters this year in 2015. So again, you put your letter text, and this is what everyone would have. Now, you'll notice it has text lines, service lines. This particular format, this prepay letter form, allows 26 total lines in the area where you can have this information. Now, this particular letter is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines of text. All right. So again, if you have a lot of text, won't be able to show as many services. If you have a lot of services you want to show, then you'll have to maybe tighten up the verbiage or something on this letter. But again, this is what it's talking about when it's talking about letter text. All right. Now, envelope, obviously, we have a couple different envelopes that you can choose from. Again, Real Green sells these envelopes. I'm not part of sales, so I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just letting you know about it. But again, we have the single window envelope, the double window, the triple window, and then the property image, and I'll show you the differences between those. And then printer offset down here, it will, again, some different printers sometimes will print things a little too high or a little too low. Printer offset will adjust that. Positive numbers pushes things down, negative numbers pulls them up. All right, so again, this is one of those things that if you print out a letter, and I always recommend doing like a small sampling first, just to make sure everything's set up, and before you do like a big batch. Now, the CAW offer information, this is, again, you have to be signed up for CAW, and you'd have to set up the offer bundles and stuff like that. But this is where you can actually put that information in, and what it's going to do, it's going to print a code on your letters that the customer can then put that code into the CAW website and get whatever deal you're offering on the letter. Now, if the service happens to be free because of discounts or whatever, then it's going to say free as the price. If they do have additional services because you're offering upsells, then this is the extra service or neighborhoods neighbor banner. And I'm going to just call it extra service. Service / neighbor banner. There we go. All right, and then this is the banner line. This banner line here is actually going to appear above the letter text, which is what we were talking about over here. I'm just going to do banner line. Okay, there we go. All right, so again, like I said, I always recommend doing like small batches and stuff just to make sure that it's pulling, it has the general format, the layout you like. So I'm just going to find out what's my last customer here. Is this, I think this is 131816. So we're going to create an example prepay letter. We're going to go ahead and preview here. And then let me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it for a specific customer. 1816. I think that's right. 31816, yep. And then 31816. So again, you do your sample, or again, you do like a small bat range or something like that. Just get an idea of what they look like, and then once everything looks good, then you can do it for your full ones. You just change that from to 0 to 99999 or whatever you're doing. All right, so let's go ahead and preview what this letter is going to look like. All right, so you'll see that there's my company information, there's my logo, valued customer prepay save 5%. Again, like I mentioned, there is a setting. Instead of saying 5%, it's going to tell them the total amount. There's a service address on top, billing address on the bottom. Again, this is the address that would go through that single window envelope. We scroll down a little bit. There's my banner line that I just typed out. There's the text that everyone that would get this letter would see. And then there's the customer's individual services. So again, you see it has the regular price, and then it shows the prepaid price is highlighted, the regular price is struck out. Again, those are settings I set up on the prior tab, the letters options tab. And then, of course, if something's free, it's going to actually say free. Scroll down here, I'm going to tell you total service amount with tax, 5% prepay, you save, $19, and then this is how much money they'd actually to send in for you to be set up for the prepay. Now, like I said before, if you have extra services or neighbors, it's going to be down this area. Again, it's all both shares the same real estate. It's going to tell them what the names of the services, what the price is, and then how much is with tax. Now, again, the system has to be able to calculate a price. So obviously, I have like a really big size or something in there, and that's why it's really, really expensive. But again, this is my test data that I use to play around with. Okay, now down here it says, yes, I wish to prepay for my scheduled services, and then they can put their check in, or they can check off the services that they want in addition to, and then they can add that total there, or pay me as services are performed, including extra services that are checked above. So again, you can go through and fine tune some of this information. Your prepayment of, again, if there's an option, if it says eliminate prepay text, well, it says your payment of. There's your credit card panel, and then of course this is the part they tear off where that dotted line is, and they send back with their payment information. All right, now if you're going through and it's not quite looking right, then you just close the preview and then fine tune the letter and stuff like that. So for example, instead of showing the prepaid, I can turn around and tell it to show neighbors or tell it to show none. If I set it to none, now I have an option that says include monthly installments. So now I can check mark that and tell it to include, or divide it up maybe by 6 payments. All right. Now when we do a preview, now we scroll down, it also says or your monthly installment of, and then now there's another checkbox that's saying that yeah, they want to be billed by monthly installment. You can also show box payment options. If we check mark that and hit preview, you'll see again in the area where the upsells and stuff were, it says there's your billing box billing options. So again, like I said, it does not hurt anything to preview, or so play around with it. Get fine tune it how you want it to look. Maybe you don't like to have the prepaid price showing. I can uncheck those 3 there, and then now it's just going to show the regular pricing information, and then it's just going to have their discount information down there. So like I was saying, it does not hurt anything to preview, but that's why you want to do it for a small selection of customers, simply because every time you preview, it's going to try to generate all the letters that it possibly can. And again, it could take a little while. Now, like I said, there are a couple different envelope types you can choose. There's a single window envelope. If we choose double window envelope, we come up here. You'll see that the billing address is now on the top, service address on the bottom. Both of those will show through. If we go through and say triple window envelope, and again we'll preview it, you'll see again it will change the layout of the address information and the discount information. You'll see now say 5% down there instead of up here. If we go through and do property image window envelope, then it's going to open up this images tab. If we click this images tab, we can tell it to embed a picture, what kind of picture it is, as well as what category. Now, again, this is why I recommend when I do my trainings, have different categories in the system for your linked diagrams and documents, because again, this is a picture that's on the diagrams or documents tab, and have one for MEA pre-APA images. You can also filter by when they were linked, as well as you can, if you don't have a separate one, if you just have like one image or whatever, you can say file name contains, image or whatever you want to put in there. So again, you can go through and filter and stuff. But now if we do a preview, you'll see there's the picture of that person's property. All right. Now it will scale it, so there's a certain amount of area that I can use. But again, this is something where you can do, and of course, the property window envelope has a really big window in it, and so that way you can see it. And some people think it's pretty cool. Some people think it's kind of creepy. In Canada, the Canadian customers aren't even allowed to use measurement assistance, so they couldn't include a picture like that because of their privacy law. All right, so really quick rundown recap. First 2 tabs, you're selecting who is going to get the letter. Third tab is what they have that you want to show in the letter. Fourth tab is additional information like upsells, neighbors, or nothing if you want to include like installment options. And the tab here is to fine-tune that particular letter. Now, as far as the letter, or as far as the format of the letter itself, again, like I said, we do have a couple of formats in there. As I mentioned before, if we tell it to group by program, and we do a preview here, you'll see it's going to take the rounds of the program and put them into one line. Now, if you do have different pricing for the different rounds, then it will separate out. So a long care program, 5 rounds at $71.86, but one of them are free. So if you do have different pricing in there, it will call that out. All right. Now, another format that people like to use is a prepaid letter with upgrade offer. Now, when I choose that, it changes a few of the options that are available. Now, under Include on Letter, we have a prepaid discount and now an upsell discount. So maybe if they prepay for their regular services, they're going to get 5%. But if they buy additional services, the upsells, then you're going to actually only give them 10, or you're going to give them a 10% discount because they're purchasing other stuff. Again, you play around with it, do previews and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and stick this with 5% here. But you want to make sure to update both of these, that both of these have those numbers, because otherwise they won't get an upsell discount. And again, when you see the preview, it'll make a little bit more sense. Now, under upsells, again, you're going to put your upsells in there. Now, the thing is that with the prepay letter with upgrade offer, you're not limited to 26 lines now. Now you have 32 lines to play around with. Okay. Also, under upsells, you notice you can do up to 20 lines of scheduled services and upsell services. And again, that number is off a little bit. It should be like 32. But again, like I was saying, again, you'd have to have with price charts and stuff like that. But now, if we do a preview, okay, you'll see it actually has two columns. All right, this first column over here is what they're currently signed up for. The second column is what they're signed up for, as well as additional services that they could qualify based upon what you. Now, again, my numbers are really high simply because I have, just test data, play around with data. Now, the one thing you want to be aware of, though, is if you have multiple services, I usually recommend only one or two, but if you have multiple ones, let's say, for example, these were each $50 or something like that. If the customer gave me $461.85 and each of these recommended services were $50, and I had 6 of them listed here or 7 listed here, I don't know which 2 they'd want. So in that case, I might, in the top part, if you do not select all recommended services, please place check mark next to the ones you want. So again, that way your customer knows that you need to know which one they want additional services they want to sign up for. Now, another thing too is you notice there's some white space up here. I don't like this extra white space. So what I can do is I can close my preview and I can reduce the number of lines of letter text that I want. Now I can do preview. All right, again, this is why I say use a single customer and there's not as much white space. That's why I say single customer, a small batch of customers to get this letter to look exactly what you want it to look like before you generate the entire database worth of letters. So to me, it looks a little better. But you notice as I add more spaces up here, it's adding more services down here. But that's, of course, because I selected all of my upsells. Normally, you wouldn't do that because normally you'd have like service calls or things that wouldn't necessarily apply. Also, keep in mind that if the customer has the service, then it's not going to show up as an upsell. If they have that particular service here and you want to show it, you would have to include it on the include on letter. All right, so like I was saying is, again, there's a lot of different options and settings and stuff like that. Play around with it, do previews. It doesn't hurt anything to do a preview. And then once you get your letter squared away, then you can go through and, generate for everyone. Now, also one more thing on the, with upgrade offer, you have this upgrade banner. All right, now, that's the regular prepay letters. This is for what they currently have on the screen that you want to show with the pricing of what they have, other than upsells, with what they have. Okay, now, marketing prepay letters isn't going to be in the same area. We're going to go ahead and close this right here for now. We're going to go to Tools, Print, Letters, and then Marketing Prepay Letters. Now, Marketing Prepay Letters are pretty much going to be the same. The only biggest difference is that it doesn't care what the customer has on their screen. All it cares is whether or not it can calculate a price on the price table. So again, in order to use marketing prepay letters, you do have to be using price tables for the services that you want to show. The other difference is if you do not do it for a specific customer, it's going to do it for anybody that's in the blue M marketing status. All right. So if I leave it as it is, it's only going to find marketing customers that are in my system. If I want to do it for a specific customer, then I can put their customer number in 31816. 31816. There we go. Oops. 2318163. There we go. Okay. So again, I can do it for a specific active customer, but if I do it for a range, it's going to go through and do it for all my marketing customers. And again, there's a way of doing active customers in a match, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Now, select customers again. You're going to select the customers, customer type, sort the letters by. If you're doing it, again, if you're normally doing it for marketing customers, then you can tell it to omit customers without size because it won't be able to calculate if they don't have a size on their screen. Also, you can tell it to use size from neighbors that are within a mile or price from neighbors that are within a mile. And what it's going to do is going to try to find the most common price and then throw that as a price for that person. Because hopefully it's kind of a cookie cutter neighborhood and all the sizes are about the same. All right, and again, of course, date since last prepay letter. Under include on letter, again, you're going to select what you want, but you'll notice there's no select program or job because, again, this does not care about what they have on their screen. All it cares about is whether or not they can do calculate a price. You're going to select your service or services or program or whatever. You can still offer services incentive, works the same way. You can tell show discount dollar amount or percentage. On our skip after date, now remember skip after dates are under your program parameters. And when you set up a program, you have the option of putting in a skip after date. And if you're generating a letter after this date, it will not show that particular letter unless you tell it to show it. if you say honor skip after date, it will show it. Or won't show it if it's after the date. If you uncheck it, it will show it if it's after the date. Default special job maximum repetitions. Again, what it means is if it's a repeating special, for example, like a lawn mowing or something, it's going to go through and show what the maximum repetitions are. It's going to put that price in there. So under upsell neighbors, again, that functions the same way as a regular prepay letter. And then again, the letter options, again, functions the same way as a regular prepay letter. So like I was saying, the biggest difference between the regular prepay letter and the marketing prepay letter is, one, if you don't select a specific customer, it's going to do it for marketing customers. If you are doing, the other main option is it does not care what they currently have on the screen. It's always going to use price chart. So even though this person had the lawn care program, it would calculate out the price as opposed to showing what's on that person's customer screen. Now, you say, well, that's all good, but what if I want to send a mass prepay letter like that pet waste removal, and I don't want to go through the effort of adding that pet waste removal as a no status job on the customer screen and all that stuff? Again, there are ways of selecting customers that do not use those tabs. So let's say, for example, you want to show customers that have the dog flag code. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually run a report. Now, again, this works for almost any report that deals with customers. We're going to go to straight customer list. Again, because I'm not sure how it was ran last time, I'm going to reset report criteria. I'm going to set my criteria here. Again, I'm going to do it for customer with that dog flag code. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to preview the report to make sure I at least get someone. All right, so it looks like I got one customer that has a dog flag code that's an active status in my database. So again, preview, and for me, for showing, demonstrating, that's perfectly fine. But like I was saying, is for training purpose or in real life or whatever. Again, you want to preview, make sure you got the right group of customers. Now, once you've got your report and you got the right group of customers, you're going to export out to prepay reject or prepay renewal cancel pending reject pending letters. Now you'll notice there is no one for marketing, and that's okay, because what's going to happen is when we export the report out, and it's going to tell us how many got exported, the first of those we pick is going to get that customer or group of customers. So if I go to regular prepay letters, it's going to grab that list of customers for regular prepay letters. If I go to marketing prepay letters, it's going to go to and grab that list of people for marketing prepay letters. So let's expand this out. I'm going to go ahead and actually, you know what? I think maybe because my branch I'm selecting here, because normally I use that one. Preview. Well, still only one customer. Let's do all branches. And that's what I said. Again, I just want to show you what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Okay, we got 3 customers. All right, there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to export, again, prepay renewal reject pending reject letters. Hit OK there. It's going to export that group of people. There's 3 records. Now when I go into either of those 2, whichever one I go into first will get them, you'll see there's those 3 customers that were on the report. Now you'll notice, though, the Select Customer tab is now grayed out. I can't even click on it. Why? Because we've already chosen our customers based upon our report. All right. Now, one thing to be aware of, if you do it as an export, and let me clear this out here to turn that Select Customers back on, that means you will not get the days since last prepay letter box on this screen, or if you're doing regular prepay letters, again, we'll do another export here real quick, and now we'll go to regular prepay letters. There we go. Again, select customer program jobs are grayed out. I can't click on them. Again, I'm going to clear those out real quick. Again, you won't be able to do not send prepay balance of greater than. So, like I said, you got to be a little careful when you're doing the export. But again, it's a way of using other criteria than what's just available on these 2 tabs. Using other criteria to pick who's going to get that letter. So again, you're going to run your report, preview it, make sure you got the right group of customers, export out to prepay letters. Hit OK there, and then whichever of the first 2 of those that you open, that's who's going to get those people. Now, like I said, though, keep in mind that those people, or the select customer tabs, in the case of the prepay letters, select program job tab, those are going to be grayed out because you've already picked those people out. So, again, that's kind of my crash course on how to do prepay letters. Like I said, we do get tons of calls towards the end of the year for people getting ready for next year. So obviously, I haven't done renewals yet, so I've been just doing 2015 as an example. Normally, like if I was doing this at the end of the year, I'd say from service year 2016, service year 2016, because again, I'm doing it for next season, but I'd have to do my renewals, so they have something to show on the letters, and I want to make sure all my prices are right, so I'd have, do my price increases or whatever, and then I generate the letter. So I hope this helps, and you guys have yourself a wonderful day.